everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon Roar Baseball with your host, Bob, co-host El Presidente Peter, and Matt, with another special guest, part 2 with Colby.
How long do I get to keep special guests?
Probably about this, and then you'll be
Then
like yesterday's news.
Colby's back.
Yeah, that fucking guy's again.
We haven't switched the Zoom login, so Colby's here again.
It depends on how popular or how often you keep posting on your World Series thing you're doing.
Yeah, I think Eddie and I are playing tomorrow.
So if you guys keep doing that and we keep having you go on for updates and stuff like that, they'll be like, "Oh, fucking Colby again. He's not a special guest. He's literally a regular."
You'll figure out when the Red Sox last team gets eliminated.
So I have a question because I'm not on Facebook, so I know nothing about this.
Oh, okay. So that big Facebook group, Colby. This is actually the reason why I reached out to Colby. Was Colby was joking about starting his own podcast, which I was like, sweet. And he asked how many people he would get. I'm like, well, I can tell you, we got about 60 people that listen to this. If you're the 60 people listening, love you guys. Thank you so much. But that's how many you're getting. He's like, and he said, why would I duplicate that? Why not we just join forces and we do this all together? And I actually love the idea because Colby was the OG that we talked about last time. If you guys listened to the last podcast, you guys know how OG Colby is. And he was pretty much the reason, in my opinion, him and then again Matt P really brought it home, I think, with his artwork. But the reason that the game continued to where Peter, Matt, and me have continued it from there on. So yeah, the Facebook group's pretty packed, and Colby's doing some stuff on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I was doing a tournament, like a March Madness style, last 16 World Series winners and runner-up. I was just like, I was in the throes of COVID. I was like, oh, that would be fun. And then by the time I got all the charts done,
I think Matt
Georgia's
March
gotten brazen.
Madness 2000. Right?
2000. We're at the finals right now.
Yeah, so that's I think is so fun is that as much as Colby is removed from us, he's like the same person. He's literally doing the same things that we're doing.
It's like talking to him last time. It's like, okay, this guy feels like he's been in our group since forever.
Yeah, he's literally
hearing you guys how you make your charts. I was like, yeah, that's if that's not how I did it, it's just a better way to do it.
And I think that's actually what we do a lot of times. We used to do speed a certain way, and we actually listen to the Discord, and I love everyone that is able to give us better input and better statistics. More statistics come out all the time. There's better statistics every day. There's a new statistic that's a better speed statistic, and we've been using that, and it's really nice. Because I was having a big issue with my 96 set. One of my buddies, Kevin, was really pissed off at me that Larry Walker had a 24 speed in 96 because 24 was the highest you get. But if you look at his SPD, his speed rating on Fangraphs, his like stolen base rating and everything, like per attempts and stuff like that, was like really high. Well, Fangraphs came with a new statistic called base running and his BSR, and then it puts him much lower, like 19, I think, or an 18. And it gives Kenny Lofton the 24, which makes so much sense because he had 70 stolen bases that year. So that's pretty cool. So if you guys did get to listen to the last podcast, we broke down a ton of the ways we do cards, and you guys listen to a lot about how Colby started this thing and what Colby's done throughout this and how we then sort of kept it going since then. But this podcast is specifically on a guy that broke the game in a sense. So we always loved the 2000, 2001 cards, but there was a certain guy who broke the game.
Peter's charts?
What's up?
Peter's charts?
Well, we like certain certain cards, and there was a player, I should say, who broke the game that made, I think we've agreed on this, Showdown change from 01 to 02, which a lot of us fell off the board on, and I know Peter has talked about this a lot on the blog, and that is Barry Bonds. So Barry Bonds was pretty much the GOAT, one of the best players ever. Again, you can talk about you want PEDs you want, but everyone was using PEDs then. He still outperformed everybody. And let's talk about that. So before we get into the cards, does anybody have any Barry Bonds stuff they want to talk about?
I am a huge fan of him.
Oh, I love Barry Bonds.
And so like this is what I remember, because during his chase, my dad, like him and I always would go to like card shows. Like I was always in the cards, and that's what got me into Showdown, because he was like, I was at this card shop and they had this baseball game, and that's kind of what started it. And so he was loading up on, because he likes to try and like buy them and then sell them to make money. Like that was his stock market. and he was buying all these Barry Bonds because he's like, this guy's hitting all these home runs. He's gonna break the home run record. And so then I was like, kind of learning because McGuire and Sosa really got me into baseball.
Oh, that's McGuire and Sosa are my boys.
So then it was like Bonds all of a sudden is chasing that. And I remember just like it'd be, in the summer, so I don't have school because I was probably 10, 2001. I was about 11 or 12. And, we'd be up and he'd turn on Baseball Tonight because they would always show Bonds' full at bats. And we'd watch Baseball Tonight to watch Bonds bat every night.
Oh,
that was like our thing.
Awesome.
And it was so much fun. And it's like, oh, there he goes again. It was either he walked or he hit a home run. That was it. You had nothing else.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And it's like his hand-eye coordination. Like you throw it up and in, he swung so fast that bat got around.
Oh my God, ridiculous!
And McCovey Cove is just exploding with splashes.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
Anybody else?
So going to a small Liberty's not the greatest athletic school in the world. So Sid Bream is probably our most famous athlete. Maybe Rashad Jennings, Dancing with the Star. But so Sid Slid is the professional sports Liberty highlight, and that involves Barry Bonds. It's probably the most negative thing anyone could say about him, besides, unless you have anti-steroid opinions. Yeah. As far as on-play performance, that's probably his worst play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And wasn't Bream on the Pirates at some point too, like before that?
I don't know if he
on
was
the Pirates in the 80s.
I don't know. I just remember his mustache and the slide.
Yeah, man, those poor Pirates teams.
Yeah, they didn't do so well. I actually read that really good book about the Pirates and how they had to do sort of like a small ball ground ball type pitchers to succeed in the early 2000s and stuff after the Bonds era. So let's break down. So what we've done, we all are card creators card creators on this blog and on this podcast. And what a lot of us have done is made Barry Bonds cards because hell, he's played for a long time and he was a sick ass card and he broke half the damn card. So if you want to see a really fun card and how to break a Showdown card, this is kind of the podcast and what we're going to do for you. So first up, if everyone wants to look at, is the Matt made this. And this is the 1986 Barry Bonds rookie card. So actually a pretty sweet card.
Yeah. I mean, as a rookie to put up a 300-point card, it's pretty cool. I mean, a 7 on base, most times you're not like, oh yeah, I'm drafting that guy. But, you look at it, Bonds was a pretty good rookie.
Yeah. And sort of looking then at Colby's, we've got his chart for 86, and it's cool to note the difference. It's this, I see the same amount of single plus, both speed A, both +2 in center field. And the big difference is doubles, which I know we've recently depressed in our.
And that's exactly why.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Colby, what's your high A speed? Is that 22 or is it to go to 24 or?
I'll do 23.
Okay, 23.
I don't know why I decided 23, and there's not even one every set. And
yeah, so if you want to look at card creation and how close we are, again, we do not work together with Colby, and how similar the cards are.
Yeah, it looks like you guys depressed it there in the middle, but
yeah, that's been a recent.
That's like 2 months. The COVID update.
But that could be the 40 points and the speed 22. And a little bit of the fielding. It looks like he had a center field +2 and then left field, right field +1.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't think he played very much left field, right field, and I don't give it if they don't play it.
I mean, I like what you did with the card.
Center fielders.
Matt, I like the old Pirates logo too being on there.
I love that he's like 135-pound Barry Bonds.
Well, what's really fun. So I'm pulling up my old charting thing, and so on our old one is an on base 7. With the correction to round him up to, I always went to 600 plate appearances, and so at 44, he'd end up getting 1 triple on mine as an on base 7, and then for doubles,
he hit 30 double or 20 something doubles.
Yeah, so as a 7, I would have given him 3 doubles.
Wow.
It sounds like Peter and I were very much on the same.
Yeah.
And then his 36 steals, 7. Yeah, so it would have been 36 minus 7. Yeah, he would have gotten
two
he
single
would have gotten
pluses.
2 single pluses.
It's been like the exact same card as.
It's
as
all because of the
Colby's.
repressed, like the new percentages that we started learning.
Yeah.
I've gotten a kick out of how much Peter was able to figure out
Oh yeah.
what mine was. It feels like he copied my homework, and
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Well, that's exactly what I did,
Are we
because
sure we're
I was
talking to
like,
two
I
different
want to
people?
keep making these for other years. You know, like
I've never met
friends and I were
Colby.
like,
I've never met Colby or Peter in real life, so I feel like they could be the same person. We do not know this.
it was really fun because it was literally like a bunch of us in our dorm in 2012. Like you started, making these cards with your friends in a dorm, and we did the same thing, and we were like, boy, these are really cool, and we want to add like A-Rod from 1996 or I don't know, like
Don't get me started in 1986. I got lots of cards for you guys.
Okay. Hey, just a quick
Yeah.
immediate comparison. 1999 Carlos Beltran. So that would have been the MLB Showdown 2000.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's man, yeah, he is almost exactly like Beltran.
You mean Rookie of the Year, Carlos?
Oh,
Beltran.
hey.
Yeah.
And Barry
Yeah.
Bonds rookie. So there you go.
There you go. So again, we love the picture.
And they both cheated.
Yeah, we love the picture that Matt put up here. It's and as we go through this podcast, so you watch this and fast forward, you might be able to see Barry Bonds grow in facial size as we do this. So, but again, this is a really quick snapshot of what the rookie card of Bonds have been, which is
I
really
just like
fun
that
to
he
play
wore
with.
number 7
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. When did he change?
the next year.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Did you know how hard it was to find a picture? It was so hard to find a picture for him in a 7 jersey.
And that's what I love. I love if you're gonna get 1986 card, he's got to be 1986 Barry Bonds. Like it has to be this guy. And I love the picture. I love the chart. Looks super fun to play with. And then he's the rookie Bonds, so it's awesome. Next up, we will joke about 1982 Barry Bonds, which is one of Colby's early Photoshop days. And Colby, talk to us about this.
So that was maybe done in Microsoft Paint, is what it looks like.
It looks like you cut the actual words on base off a scan.
I very well could have been. I don't
It's
enjoy
awesome,
that Times New Roman 90-degree angles, man.
I love it.
So
I mean, we can't make fun of you if you've ever seen like my Juan Pierre from 2003. Bonds looks like a gem.
Oh yeah, this is like mint condition.
But it's funny because I have a bunch of cards that are like these ones, and so we'd have a player that you'd made like cards from or whatnot. But say we wanted Bonds from 1995 or 1990 on the Pirates. We would take like this card, and then we would just like very brutally in like Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, like crop a different card's chart that we wanted to make work. And crop like the on base and just like move them over into like this ugly amalgamation of colors and print that sucker out for a different year.
And that's what we talked about the last podcast and part 1 of this is that, again, we all have the Excel spreadsheets, but people want to have a physical card to play with. They want something to physically move around the bases. They want to roll with their card in front of them. And they don't really care what it is as long as it's there. And yeah, if we can make it the prettiest card ever and a foil, it's amazing, yes, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, we just need something. This Barry Bonds, even though it's early, is still perfect. It has the Bonds picture on it, it has his name, all the stats we need. It's yellow, love it. I would play with this card 100 times over.
So here's what I hated about this card, and not that I hate this.
Let me know.
Whenever I would let people, like if people got sets from me, I'd say, hey, pick 10 cards and get some customs. I thought that'd be a good like selling point, and I thought it would personalize it and give them some ownership. Everybody would it would be like they just went to like center fielder's best season sort, or right, and it's like I just made 10 11 to 20 speed A like big homer guys. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like it was just not, it wasn't interesting at all. Like everyone picked like I like the quirkiest guys, and this is just like, oh, here's a good card.
I hope you enjoyed them.
Guys.
I know I ordered CC Sabathia, the Brewers CC Sabathia.
That was an interesting one. I
want to see. I've talked about this before. CC Sabathia Brewers batter card, not pitcher's card.
That's a good idea.
And I think with people ordering customs, they go, well, I got all these guys. I want to add some studs. And that's probably why you saw so many of here's the best version, because, if you already have a Barry Bonds, like you want the better version of Barry Bonds.
Well, then for me, it was like I'm trying to put together a complete team. Like I wanted sort of like that all-decade league that I'm doing, where I was like, man, the Rays players I have right now, I've got some holes still. I'm gonna ask for Carl Crawford because they need a leadoff man.
Oh yeah.
And or like the Twins, they've got weekend of the bullpen. I'm gonna ask for Joe Nathan and Johan Santana to like round out this rotation because they don't really have anyone outside of Radke and Milton and Joe Mays.
So how far?
So that was sort of how that went.
How far is this chart off of your 1992? Is it identical?
I'm sure it's close. I didn't make all the years on it, but if I look at like the original formulas I've got, it tends to be really close.
I mean, it looks like it might be the card.
Like I would add, let's see, like on base 11,
one less double.
Let's see,
no,
34.
Same doubles. No, you got.
Looks like a home.
Man,
a triple became a home.
You
I
might
would have been on base 11, homer at 19. We would have gotten probably one triple, and then he probably would have gotten two doubles
No,
from
it looks
me.
like it's 3 on this. Well, again, this was.
Oh, that's mine.
This is Matt's chart. So
yeah.
Yeah,
so Matt's chart is identical to Colby's card that he made.
That's funny.
Yeah. Just looking at like my.
Wait, there's one
that
more,
we've been rolling with.
one less walk and one more single. How dare you, Matt?
Get those RBIs.
Yeah.
What I like about it is like that's when Bonds took off was basically 992. Like he jumped up like 190 points in salary, 200 points in salary, and so it's cool to see that card being made. So if anybody's watching this podcast, you can find Colby's old card on Google or on his blog and grab that card for your guys' set. Or bug us enough on Twitter, and maybe somebody will make it for you, I guess. Who knows?
Well, then very briefly, it's interesting to just note that like with the tweaks that we've done, it's easier to get home runs on your chart, and then so much harder to get doubles.
Yeah. I like it.
We talked about that a lot in the 2000 breakdowns. It's like a guy would have like so many doubles on his chart, not enough home runs, and like he hit like way more doubles and home runs, and then there's doubles on the pitcher's chart too. It's like this isn't statistically even close.
Well, and that's how Craig Biggio only has like 3 doubles on his chart as an on-base 9, despite hitting like 50 doubles because of the way they did it. But in my charting, kind of like with Colby's, it's like he hit 50 doubles. There's no way I'm giving him a 17 to 19 range.
Yeah. So next up we have my glorious, the glorious 1996, and I have my little foil symbol at the bottom to let you guys know he's a special card. This is the 11 on base, A-speed 22, left field, right field +2, monster. He's the second highest salary point in the 96 set that I'm creating. If you guys are listening, I'm still creating it. It might take me until 2023 to make it, but I will make that 96 set eventually. I'm just doing it by myself, on my own, just doing it. But what do you think, Colby? What do you like about it?
I just like that he's starting to like take off and get like the real power.
Oh yeah.
So like that is where it's like, and you give him the 11. I only give him a 10 because I do the top 2 and on base.
Oh yeah, I did like 450. I think got the 11, and there was like 3 or 4 guys that got an 11 in that year.
Yeah, I guess my problem with not problem is like when I was doing like an absolute hard number is like I feel like some years would end up with like they'd have like 8 10s and like 4 9s.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's just like I had to do them relative. I think this is as we get later and the on base numbers start to inflate through the 90s. It'll be interesting to see how we diverge, and definitely how we diverge
for
as like
96. You have a funny A-speed 22, which is identical. You have him at 660. I have him at 690. 18 home run, 2 triples. I have no triples. You have him at I'm looking at the wrong thing. You have no triples. You have 17 home run. So I have 18.
Yeah, so same home run tier, one less double, one more single plus.
But because you're a 10 and you have a 21 speed. Oh wait, you're a 22 speed. 2 doubles. I have 1 double. But again, it's all because you're a 10 on base. It's basically the same card, though I have him as an 11. So pretty interesting. So again,
we talked about using the triples as that magic number.
And also we talked about you like to favor that like top 2 guys got that spot unless for some reason maybe a guy deserved that 11, which you have talked about in the last podcast. And
Mainly just Ortiz being a DH. It's
Yeah.
so tough to give it to a DH.
And I get it. And I like to award people based on the absolute hardline percentage. I set that percentage, and anyone above it gets it, and anyone below it does not get it. That's just me. Again, I made the 96 set. It's not Peter. It's not Matt. It's not Colby. That's just me doing it. So if you're gonna hit,
Yeah,
when
you make the 69, when you make the 69 set and you have the highest on base is an 8.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's all relative. If you guys want to hate on me, you guys can. I actually, it's pretty nice. And Barry Bonds is the second highest salary point person in that set. Pretty cool card. Pretty great stat. Pretty good stat. So after
He
90,
looks great too. I really like this cutout and design.
yeah, I spent a lot of work on it. I spent a lot of work doing the 2001 set. After I saw Matt P's design for 2001, I said, I like 00, but 01 is fun because you can, well, we'll say twofold. One, you get a better cutout. You get like a zoomed in image. You get a little more FaceTime with the player. But a lot of times, and hopefully Getty Images and listening to this, but the Getty Images, they put their fucking watermark at the knee. And so I can get a really good cutout for 01, like above the knee. And so I can get a really good, 1996 cutout for a lot of players. So this Bonds gets that treatment. And again, I really wanted to find a way. We talked about it in the 2018 set. People were like talking about who were the foils, who were the guys that earned quote unquote a foil, and you didn't do it either, Colby. But in our 2019 set, we made the foils had a special cutout version, and the 96 set, all I did was give him a little shooting star. So it is a quote unquote homage to that guy would have gotten the foil treatment. Did you have any ideas on foils during your set designs?
No, I would have. I did well enough to even get those things like physically produced, print them off in a computer lab.
But it is sort of cool to say, again, I had 2014 set, Jose Batista and McCutcheon, they got the foils. Like they were fucking studs. It'd have been cool to have those guys as foils. So I just threw.
I guess I would have gone MVPs and How
many foils would you have done?
10 maybe
You
MVP.
wouldn't have gave one to each team? How dare you?
Yeah, I don't know.
How dare you?
I'd just make the whole set foil, man. Just
So I made
I'd just send a couple. I'd send a couple blank foils in each pack too. Just let whoever you think give it out.
What did I end up doing, Matt? Did I do 55?
I think you said 55.
55.
Yeah.
So I did 55 foils. Everyone had at least one foil per team, and it was like I made cutoffs again. I'm a very big statistical driven guy. I said, okay, cutoffs for batters are 490 and pitchers are 480 and relievers are 190. And that's what I did. And I said, okay, I think the original showdown we determined was not 100%, but basically if you made the all-star team, you got a foil.
I was gonna say All-Star seems like the easiest cutoff.
Yeah,
All-Star, Silver Slugger, Award,
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year.
Andy Ashby made the all-star team. I think we sent Padres and didn't get a
Yeah,
foil,
and
which
he
was
didn't
kind
get
of
All
one.
nerd.
Oh.
Yeah, so
got
it was
robbed.
hit or miss on the quote unquote all star team making. I just did mine as a point cutoff. That's why he is the big shooting star. Next,
I feel like people would use like the high pointed guys anyway.
Well, and that was
But-
my point of the foils. Is like I should have the guys that. So I did two things. I did one per team. If they had MVP, Cy Young, or Rookie of the Year. So Derek Jeter and Todd Hollandsworth got the foil treatment for my 96 set. Again, Rookie of the Year that year was Derek Jeter. So Yankees fans, I know I hate you, but you guys will probably love that Derek Jeter. Next up, we have the original OG, and I know I call him Colby the OG, but I have my nicknames are Colby the OG and El Presidente Peter. Those are my two nicknames. We have the OG
nickname.
Barry Bonds. You want a
Or
nickname, Matt?
Not yet, but we'll figure one out.
The Twitter and YouTube will figure out your nickname. So
I don't trust them.
did you guys like the 00 Barry Bonds? I actually really found the 00 version very fun to play with.
I used them.
Oh,
I don't like him in draft because I feel like the speed A is a waste.
yeah.
Because he's either going to homer and his speed doesn't matter, or he's going to walk and his speed. It's just weird to figure out where he should bat if points are a concern for you.
I like
He also
that
got
high
out on his chart all the time for me, and which is like
It's a
just
big
for
outrage.
luck, but
Too much in my opinion.
he was always getting out for me, and it was
So
so
1 through
frustrating.
5, that's huge. What'd you guys do? So we got We got Colby's chart for 99 would have been a. Oh, so
I
you
just
used the
copied him.
card. Let's see what
What'd Matt do?
Matt did for 99. He had a 1 through 4 out. So 2 ground balls, 2 fly balls.
And then 9 walks.
9 walks, no singles, 1 single plus, 1 double, 5 home runs. So you've been at 16
So
to 20
5
as well.
to 13 walk, 14 single plus 15 double. That out? You had it, Matt?
Yeah. 16 homer.
Yeah, so I feel like that's
15
pretty good.
double.
You definitely reduce his speed. So quote unquote speed A would have been a speed
To what?
17.
A 19? Is that what it was?
17.
So
Or
like
I was looking at the one
99.
above it.
It's funny
So he's a
to
little
see
cheap.
again. So once he took off, like, in what 92, the
Yeah.
99 season is like his lowest on base.
Yeah, that was like his worst
He was
season.
hurt, wasn't
It
he?
was a bad year.
Yeah, he didn't play the whole season. I remember
What a
that.
terrible player. He's awful.
Only 560 points. Scrub.
I prefer the Juan Guzman. I'm sorry, the Juan Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, Juan Gonzalez. So you're talking about the pennant version in the Detroit?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
pennant
yeah.
version. He's got a lower walk, so I think he can drive himself in with homers, but also single guys in from second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he does better on the RBI front because I just don't think his Bonds A is going to score more runs.
I would make that Juan Gonzalez a foil. He got robbed.
It deserved.
Oh,
it.
I'd make
Yeah.
that mustache a foil.
Oh,
Mm.
that's a hot
Just the
take.
mustache.
Oh my god. So
That's
this is-
the only part foiled.
we need Colby on the podcast with Jeff, who loves mustaches and people. Like,
And guys without clothes.
yeah,
Is he
guys
the one
love
with the
those-
shirt? Is he the shirtless guy?
Yeah.
I'll put on the playlist as I'm going to bed just to listen and there's some weird I'd like to see him shirtless.
Yeah, that's Jeff. That's Jeff talking. We love Jeff. Jeff's awesome. So another Cleveland guy again. Weirdly, Mecca, Cleveland. Don't understand. Again, could even just my.
You just ran into the right people.
Yeah, I just follow the right people. But again, the only thing I don't like about this Barry Bonds card is his pose. I actually think it's kind of unflattering, and we'll get to the next year. I think it's actually much better, and how in earlier
Meanwhile-
versions or later versions, you guys really hit it off on the artwork. But this one just seems like he's like, I kind of did that.
That's a single
Yeah.
that I don't have on my chart.
So
The, the nutty professor face.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right for this one. So next up is 2001 Barry Bonds, the OG version again. 650 points. This is a monster of a card. So
Every team.
Yeah,
I
so
put him
he's-
on every team.
So he's got the 10 on base instead of the 9, and he's got less speed, but he's got the same home run range, less outs, and this picture is fucking intimidating.
This is like my missing card. I need this Bonds.
Oh,
for
I
my-
think
have
it's
it
That was
yet?
like
ordered.
$30 10 years ago.
I know.
So let's see here. So did you? Okay, so you just put in your calcs, Colby, are just the ones that are there, but let's see
Yeah,
what-
I don't remaster them.
So what'd you remaster this one as, Matt? Is that 2000?
It's
Yeah.
2000. So
you
he had a
you had him
10
as a 10
speed C14, so basically a
one
15.
less.
Yeah.
One less
Uh,
out and the same home run range.
No,
wait,
less
one
home
less.
runs.
He
Only
had
a
17
17.
home run. Okay.
Because I did it per plate appearance instead
Okay.
of like a set number.
So pretty close again. I just like this card in general just because he's a fucking stud. Again, I've seen him in leagues not do well because his B speed versus his A speed in the year before, but he's so strong. I mean, this is such a big power card.
I had this guy on every team in 01. Because I was a kid, like I said.
If I
I
had
had
one
great-
card, it'd be fucking A-Rod Rangers.
I never had that card, but I had great memories of Bonds as a kid. So I was like, I always put him in there. It was Bonds. He was always on my team.
What about you, Colby?
I never had one. I wish I did. I didn't have the $30 to shell out for
I
it.
packed this one. I got a pack.
Oh,
did
you
ya?
lucky son of a bitch.
Whenever because we'd mock them up to finish out the sets, and it's like
Mhm.
that six. So here's the problem with Bonds is that his mix of speed and power is just weird, and it's like, so it's like he's
Well,
the
until
bookend
he
of your
starts
line.
aging and getting steroids in him, then he starts slowing down a bit.
He's I'm interested to see. This is where I'm excited where it diverges, but I play him because I like the homer, but he's not efficient.
It's just
Yeah.
interesting, for what he, again, if he didn't take the PEDs, he would have still been, one of the best players ever because he was the 5-tool guy. He was the great defender, the great speed guy. He could hit. He do everything that you wanted out of a player.
And he never got hurt.
And he just played all the time. So I mean,
his counting stats are ridiculous.
Yeah, he's the GOAT in my opinion. One of the best ever. It actually would be interesting to see what Trout can do with his career, but in my opinion, still is going to be Bonds right now. So it's interesting.
I mean, Willie Mays has to be the high is like the Trout comparison, right?
To Trout, yes.
To Trout, yeah, like that's like.
Though I think Willie Mays might have been a better fielder than Trout. Trout is good, but he's not that great.
Mays and Mantle, maybe.
But Mantle was like a home
he
run
didn't play
guy.
that
He
long.
got hurt a lot.
I think Mantle's the most. So we can do this debate some other. Willie Mays did as much with his talent that he could, and Mickey Mantle did maybe the least with his talent that he could.
Mickey Mantle got hurt so much. I feel like if Mickey Mantle played like a full season, he would have broke like everyone's records early in home runs. But I think that was what he was. Like I think he was like a guy that could hit the ball, but he couldn't really run really well. He was always hurt. Mays seemed like a guy that's more comparable to Trout. Like he had it all going on. Still wasn't as crazy as fucking Bonds, who is funny because that's his damn like
Godfather.
Godfather. So again, that's 2001 Bonds, the card that was made. I think you guys made some 2001 Bonds. So let's break down your guys.
For the 2001 season.
Okay, so let's stop right here. Okay, so 2001 Bonds happens. Boom. That is based on the 2000 season. 2001 season happens. Holy fuck, Bonds breaks the card game. Peter, Colby, break it down. What happened?
Well, this is, I think, one of the most popular posts I've had on our blog is just sort of writing about how Barry Bonds season, I'm pretty sure, like people theorize that they wanted to make new formulas so that the old seasons were incompatible and people would have to buy more cards, but maybe that's true. But I think also Barry Bonds' season was so off the charts that they just redid their formulas so that his card wasn't too overwhelmingly powerful / like too different. Because I originally back in like June of 2018, I tried to force Barry Bonds' season into an on base 11 card.
We will talk about that card in a little bit too.
Because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like to make the on base percentages work for Bonds in 01 through 04, you have to go beyond on base 11, or his card.
Peter, you're breaking up.
Peter, I'll cut in here. So
Okay. Thank you, Colby.
I also realized that 11 just didn't do it justice, and so I made the cutoff for when I would go to a 12 because I'm like, 11 should feel special per set, but they should show up every set. And then I was like, but anything above an 11 should not be expected. And it should be really historic stuff.
Which is
the
really
number
what he
that I
was.
used. Yeah, the number I used for 12 or higher was 500 on base percentage.
Which is just stupid.
If you're getting on more than, well, because like the joke about baseball, right? Like I've used in life, on different things. I'm like, oh, this is like. I've compared it like this is like baseball, right? If you get out 4 out of 10 times, you go to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And it's like when you turn that on its head, and it's like, no, you're actually more likely to get on base. That's when you deserve something special.
Yeah, I just think like 400 on base is like really, really good, and like to even fathom 500 on base is like ridiculous to me. Like it doesn't even it like breaks my mind thinking about that.
Yep. So I make the equivalent of a 10, so 10, 16 to 20, what McGuire got, or the equivalent, which was Sosa 8, 14 to 20. That is what I thought was 55 home runs and above level. And then, so I thought there was one level above that, which is basically you broke the home run record.
Yep.
Like that was, and it didn't matter what number it was. Well, I guess I start with Ruth 60 is where I leave that. I use Ruth 60, Maris 61, McGuire, and I think I would give Sosa it as well because he would have broke it had McGuire not been there. And then Bonds, right? So those are the 5 ever, in my opinion. I think those are, unless somebody goes out and hits 80.
Yeah.
God help us all.
What I think about so what the original on base percentage was 450 was the 11. So when they broke the 450, Giambi and Delgado got the 11 on base. But when they made Showdown in 99, no one was there. Okay, again, Bonds would have hit the 11 in 92, 93, but he didn't. So they were like, okay, we're smooth. Like, we're good to go. We got some 10s, got 450 on base, 11s that are crazy in 2001 set. Then Bonds goes on and hits a 515 2001 on base. They were like, what the hell do we even fucking do with that? Like, how do you do that? And then he goes even higher as he continues, so it's even more ridiculous. So, again, that's sort of the idea as how he quote-unquote broke the game. And it's like, how do you can't give an 11 to a guy getting 450 and then also an 11 to a guy getting 500 or 515 in Barry Bonds' case.
Yeah. So I actually gave Bonds the high, like one even above McGuire. I ended up with a 12, 16 to 20.
Let's break down. I think your card's next. So here it is. 990 points. You couldn't do 1,000?
I don't know if it fit. It probably
So
it probably would have been easier just to start with, like, okay, you got 19 guys with 4,000 points.
You wrote 1K, like 1KPT. So
yeah, that would have been a great idea.
So this is a Barry Bonds. This is Colby's version. Super sick. I love the yellow border outline. We did white border outlines. So again, we didn't get to talk about the last podcast, but this is Colby / Matt P, right?
Matt did the graphics on all
artwork. Shout out to Matt
on all
P
the ones
Twitter.
except for the one that I hand drew earlier.
So this, So this is, shout out to Matt P on Twitter. We'll tag him in the link. So bam, here's your 2001 card that is compatible with the 0001 season. The on base 12 Barry Bonds. Talk about this card real quick, Colby.
Well, can I give a shout out to Matt too? Because he had to know that this was this is the Charizard. This is the Black Lotus, right? Like this is the one Showdown card. Like if anyone's like, okay, well let me.
Pokemon and Magic: The Gathering, which is also Wizard of the Coast, in this podcast.
Yeah, hopefully they shut us down. They're gonna shut us down now, but okay.
I've done a lot of Magic: The Gathering references. They're not gonna shut us down.
There we go. I'm sitting here shuffling Magic cards as I sit here. But yeah, so the chart was whatever, right? Because he was so great, like the pressure was off me. I just needed to like throw a bunch of points and justify it up there.
Yeah.
Like Matt had to pick a photo that encaptured it and that you would, because you wouldn't remember the chart. You were gonna remember the picture. I thought Matt killed it there.
Oh yeah, way better. Again, this is what I was talking about with 2001, which is the base of 2000 season. That they did a really good job, but the 00 version was lackluster. This Barry Bonds looks like he just fucking hit one in the ocean.
Oh yeah, he's just a monster, and it's just like, and I think, and Matt knew that. Matt had such a better appreciation. I was just like, what's the first non-blurry photo? So, all right, guess he's gonna use that back to back years.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job. I think it's a super fun chart. Super high walks, super high home runs. I mean, it's a very tough chart to do. Like, what do you do when you have a 12? Like, it's really tough. Do you want to talk about that really quick, Colby?
Yeah. So what do you do? Like, what do you do with the 12? I just kind of pulled all my stuff forward, right? Because you're going off the reservation to make a 12. So it's like, okay, you try to use your formulas, and then it's like, okay, so it's a 12, 16 to 20 homer, 15 double, 14 single plus, and then 5 to 13 walks. It's like,
I mean, he still hit like 50 home runs that year. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous how good he was. Or sorry, this is the 73 home runs. So I was looking at the wrong.
Yeah. I was like, he hit a bunch.
So he had 73 home runs this year. Okay.
Well, and then I was trying to think, like, how would anybody use this? And it's like, any points or anything? And I'm like, whatever.
You know what's funny about this year? This year he broke the record, right? Not as high as intentional walk year. Like, let's just pitch to him. He's
not as high as on base by a lot.
Like he's breaking the record. Nah, we're good. Let's pitch to him. Like, who's pitching to fucking Bonds hitting 70 home runs?
The Dodgers and
exactly. Peter, you still on this podcast? Or did you get kicked off?
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
So next up we have Peter's version.
The first attempt. So this is from June 2018.
No, I think the first one that comes up is your 940 point version.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh, this is okay. This is the one that Peter was trying to fit the card into an on-base 11. So talk about it, Peter.
Yeah, so I tried to squish it, and I knew. I mean, like Bob was talking about, he's got 0.035 more on base percentage points than Giambi, who was an on base 11 on at 3. And I remember at the time I was making his percentages off of control 4, same home run range as Colby has there. So he's one less on base, but one more home run. So that 15 to 20 with an on base 11, which is ridiculous. And then I made him a walk at 2 to try to go with the Giambi. And his projected on base percentage with this card is 480, which is still well short.
Did you consider no outs?
I thought about it.
So let me just tell you really quick, Peter. Rory, my buddy, had this card in the league. He got out on his own chart 5 times. I'm like, how can that even fucking happen? How can that even fucking happen? Rory hates this card with a passion.
Yeah, because which would make sense. The home run rate works out really well, because his real life home run percentage was 10.993976%, like basically 11%. His home run rate on this card should be 10.5%. And it's really close to 11% as the on base 12 homer at 16. It's even closer. So it was sort of a best first attempt. And then I redid it when I knew we were going to do this podcast last week, which is how we got this next one.
I'll break that up. So I was talking to Colby about this, and Colby's ideas were to part 1 to talk about who is Colby. Does anybody know Colby? I actually think a lot of people do know Colby. We actually know him very well, but let's get to know Colby better. And part 2 was Colby was like, I really want to break down Bonds because he's ridiculous. And so I told the team is me, Matt, and Peter, and then a little bit of Bradley too. And so they made this next card, which is the remastered version, 1,000 point 1K Barry Bonds.
Yeah, I honestly, he's so good in all of these that I have no idea how to quantify his points.
Yeah,
I don't have math.
Did you just want to make him 10 more points than Colby's?
I didn't know Colby's stuff. It just seemed like if anyone was going to be 1,000, it was this guy.
In my opinion, Barry Bonds is the 1K player. He's the guy.
Yeah, and
I like. If I had thought of the 1K points, I would have done it.
Yeah,
I'm kicking myself now that I didn't.
Yeah,
like as you can see, we're really almost the same on most of it. Same home run range, exact same speed, exact same fielding.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if Colby and Peter are different people yet. We still do not know this.
Well, so and then this was with what Matt referenced earlier, our like new COVID method. So I've been using control 3 on at 17. So like your tier 4 classic Sidney Ponson types as like the average pitcher, and against that pitcher.
It's the nicest thing anyone's said about Sidney Ponson.
This card's expected on base percentage is exactly 515, which was his real life on base percentage. So I was really excited about that. And then I worked out like what the walk rate would be and what he needs to get to that batting average.
Which takes back to your last card about forcing him into an 11 doesn't work. He needs to be a 12. He needs to.
He needs to be a 12. It makes a huge difference. And then in order to get like his expected batting average to be 328, he needed the singles on it. So
Matt, did you do the artwork on this one?
No, I
he did.
Peter, good job. I love
way less artwork when you can just find a picture on Google and slap it on there.
Yeah, so like this is like Matt Guy's new style, and we can fly through making cards.
I like the blurred, non-blurred background. It's really sharp. Like
this is also him hitting the 71st home run.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I really worked hard to find that one.
That's kind of like what Colby talked about the last podcast, was like iconicness and making it happen. Like that's something to know for people that want this version in their set. It's like, this is that version that you got. This is the 1K player. This is him breaking the record. Like this is everything you want in a card.
Yep. So I figured out the foil that I would do if I could do one. The promo would be the Jose Bautista bat flip with one of those like the cards where you turn it.
Like there's a Barry Bonds rookie at the Sportplex.
Mine's Jose Bautista getting punched by Rogdan Odor. Like that's
Yeah.
my foil.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I want one with like either shadowing or like as you turn it, you can just see him flip that bat like a boss.
Yeah.
What about
They
Tim
did-
Anderson like chucking the fucking bat? I like.
Yeah,
Tim
I
An-
loved his bat.
Yeah.
That,
That
bat
was
flip was one of my
Matt's
favorites.
best cutout, I think.
Yeah, I
yeah.
did that cutout.
That's a sick ass bat flip. He was like,
Is-
"I fucking hit that shit. Let me know, bitches."
The moment I saw him do that, I was like, I'm cutting that out
Oh, yeah.
tonight.
To me, like a bat flip is not. To me, a bat flip should not be about intimidation of the pitcher. It should be a celebration of what I just did. And Tim
Yeah,
Anderson's
KBO.
one was so iconic, in my opinion. Well, Jose Bautista is the same way, but his is a little cocky because he kind of pauses. Tim Anderson feels like he was so celebratory for himself. Like I
He's
just
looking at the
fucking did
dugout.
that.
He's looking at his dugout
Yeah,
when he does.
he's so pumped for his team. Jose Bautista's that slight pause was kind of like a fuck you, but I mean I still like it. It's all right.
yeah.
But I mean, okay. So anyway, so this is the Barry Bonds of the 2001 season.
Now let's break it even more.
Next, yeah. So let's get Barry Bonds a little fatter. So a little fat face. We got Barry Bonds 2002. So this is Colby's version. Little breakage here, but he goes down in home runs, obviously, but his on base percentage goes up. So Colby, break this down.
So I went down. He goes up. He's got the. I stayed with the 12. Got the 18 to 20. I mean, everything was going to be a letdown after the year before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this is the second best. This isn't going to be the top 10 charts ever, right?
Yeah.
All seasons ever. And it's like, not 16 to 20. Maybe more. No, it's not more playable. The 2 homers is definitely worth the 100 points, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So sadly, it's just an unplayable card
Well,
unless you have a league that allows you to have multiple Barry Bonds.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an interesting point. It's how is your league running? Some of our leagues have been the first one of the name drafted. It's over. It's all how you guys run it. Again, it's great that you can have this version if you need it. It's here. He had a 580 fucking 2 on base percentage. It's just stupid. I'm surprised that Colby even kept the 12 here. I mean, you could have gone even higher. But he only had 46 home runs. A mere tiny 46 home runs. What a terrible player.
Just a little bit.
What a terrible player. But a great card again. I love the picture that Matt did. Amazing.
Well, and I think it's really fun if you did, like the full team or whatever. Like if you put out, like you're talking about your tournament, the O2 Giants. Suddenly now this card is just a beast in that tournament, and the protection he gives in the lineup, it's really fun to see.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
did
is
somebody do
the lineup.
O2 Giants?
Yeah.
There's other players on the team.
Did somebody make the O2 Giants?
I think it was just Giant. I think it was just Bonds.
No,
No,
Matt,
Yeah, I did. There's the one chart right there.
Yeah.
I know what Peter's been doing.
So, that is the O2 version of Colby's. So let's compare it now to the O2 version that Peter did. So less outs, same
Higher
home
OB.
runs, same doubles. It's like the same person's doing this chart.
exact same. The big difference is I went up to the on base 13,
Yeah,
and
which I actually think is reasonable, seeing that it's almost 70 on base more than the season before.
well, and again, I basically have been making cards now, sort of against the baseline, and oh my god, the expected it's just the game isn't designed for someone to have an on base this high, because baseball players shouldn't have an on base this high.
I agree,
Like,
and that's why we talked about him breaking the game. And again, no one
Is
else
this
is
the
doing
year
that.
that he
It's
had all
not
those
like-
walks?
well, here's what's absolutely insane about. So he's an on base 13 on it 2 that I gave him. His expected on base percentage for this card is 575.
which is lower.
It's still not as high as real life.
Is there
year was
is
the
there an
walk
argument
year?
for removing intentional walks from the formula?
Which is funny because
Yeah.
I only do mine as a manager option to intentional walks in general, which is funny. So we did a manager option, not manager option. Sorry, it's just a statistical rule. If someone intentionally walks a batter, the next batter gets +2 to the on base, -1 for each person on base can't be less than 0, whatever it is. So
That's an elegant sounding rule.
yeah, so basically what it's saying is you can't intentionally walk Barry Bonds with no one on base, because that's what happened. Rory drafted that 990 point version that Peter made, and then everyone intentionally walked him because no one wanted to fucking face him. And
You got to put McGuire behind him.
They did, and they didn't care because McGuire was C-speed, and they just figured double play range. But
Well, and what's nuts?
But
is
if you do that rule where you kind of boost the next guy, it's okay. But when you have guys on base, you have to take the penalty saying, "Oh, I'll boost them," but if I got guys on base, it's not a real boost because there's more IBI chances.
So we'll call it the Rich Aurelia rule.
Yeah.
Well, what's insane is what was being referenced about, like, if you take out intentional walks in the card making formula, which is definitely something I've discussed and looked into. His on base percentage then in real life would still be .513 without intentional walk in 2002, which is still like off the charts for an on base 11.
And the craziest thing is we're still not to his most walk season yet.
And that's why kind of exactly.
like after the 73 home run year, like this still isn't his most walk year. Like it,
and
like,
that's why
what
I
were
don't
they
understand.
thinking?
It's like the year the 73 home runs should have happened. Like that was the year to walk him. I just don't get it.
Maybe
Again,
that's why he didn't hit.
I actually think it's a really fun thing that you guys did between the 12 and the 13. It's right about there, it feels. But the thing with me is, we'll go back to the break in the game. Who the fuck cares? Keep the game as it is. Barry Bonds breaks the game. Maybe you ban that card in tournaments, but you just make him the outlier because the game itself.
If somebody wants to spend 1,000 points in a salary cap league,
but the
with no wonky rule,
but everyone else kind of fall back in place. It wasn't like the whole league went this way.
Right.
It was like Bonds did it.
Because so say you have a 5,000 point team, can you realistically put 1,000 point Bonds on your team? Because like you can, but
he
of
killed
your
that team. That team stunk because of it. That was too many salary.
You can't improve.
Salary.
Like you have to do all pitching and then Bonds and then a bunch of speed A7s.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
how many points would you spend for a person who walked automatically every time?
So I'll tell you a different thing. I'll let them answer this in a second. I spent 800 and something points on Bob Gibson. I was like, I'm going to win every 4 games. I did not win every 1 of 4 games. And I spent a fifth of my salary on Bob Gibson, and it actually hurt my team. I finished 500.
Yeah,
Terrible.
it's hard. Like for Bob Gibson, like you're going against other aces in a showdown format where most aces will do not as good as Bob Gibson, but pretty similar. So your offense is hurt where theirs, they didn't spend the whatever on Gibson, so they can input that into their offense.
Yeah. I think that's what the salary thing is for. You go, okay, Bonds broke the game. Boost up his fucking salary and say, do you really want him? Because he's going to fucking cost you. And if not, you guys can get Mark McGuire.
FP Santangelo followed by Bonds.
Yeah. What do you want? Like what?
And Hanley Frias.
Not even Santangelo, because you don't care about the A, because Bonds is just going to walk behind him. So just
Frias,
Jeff Cirillo, Olaru,
and that's why
and then Sammy Sosa behind Sammy Sosa to bookend it.
No, I want your Sammy Sosa version with the 13 home run range.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Be...
I want that version. Well, we'll see what Matt and Peter come with the remastered version. I don't know what he's going to end up, but I like it. So next up, we have the 2003 version. Again, Matt killed it on the photo here because I think I don't know if he's in a fly ball, but it actually looks like he could have hit within the left field. But he
looks happy.
He looks like he fucking killed it. So another 12 on base because Bonds is ridiculous. But again, no single plus, no double, no triple, just homers and singles, lots of walks. What do you think, Colby?
This one I could see a way to build a lineup because you're not leaving any meat on the buffalo here, right? You get what you want, which is homers on base, and then after that, like make it cheap. No speed. Like I would put him second or third
so he slows down this year in the 2003 season. So even for stolen base, so he used to steal again back in the day 50 stolen bases, 30, 40 stolen bases. Then and when he starts taking quote unquote steroids, 99-ish, he starts dropping down 15, 11, 13. Then he's barely stealing anymore ever again.
You don't need to when you're hitting it over the wall.
Matt,
Yeah.
when you Colby, when you were doing it, were you doing speed on stolen bases?
I test and trying to justify it with stats.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't think the real good foot speed came out until maybe 5, 6
I
years
don't even
ago.
like foot speed. So there's a new statistic, and you'll like this, Colby. Fangraphs has it. I love Fangraphs. Shout out to Fangraphs. I would love you to sponsor me. But Fangraphs has a great thing called BSR. Capital B, lowercase s, capital R. It is base speed. And what they say is based on advancing to second or third or home on an extra base hit and stealing everything. So it is encompassing all these statistics on an average of the whole league. So therefore, the league is an average of 0, and if you beat it, you go above, and if you're lower than it, you go below. So you then can determine for your showdown set, average speed is, I picked 13 for 96, and so anybody above it goes above it, anybody below it goes below it, and you can spread it out. So when I did that with the BSR, Lofton got like a 7-point something BSR, which made him the 24 speed for 96, but you can't quantify that statistically until about 2002 when they get some of the statistics involved in it, and it goes better. So anything past 2002, you can use BSR, and it gives you a really great showdown, in my opinion, statistic, because showdown is not just speed related to stolen bases. Speed in showdown is how you advance runners, and that is BSR, in my opinion.
And the one thing I wanted to say before, because before this podcast, never talked to Colby other than like some random emails back and forth, like way back in the day when I was trying
mail.
to, and just bugging him to answer me because I'm trying to
answer me, Colby.
Yeah, the amount, like, I'll check my Twitter like once a year, and it's like people are like, "Hey, can I get a set?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
Colby, you should get. Well, you should get
someone messaged me on LinkedIn. Please don't do that.
Okay, don't message Colby.
Please message me on Facebook, or I won't respond to you.
Yeah.
And
so Colby, you should get back on Twitter first of all, and then get with our group, which is a great group. And Matt P should be involved in this group because I love it. And we joked about this. We should have a creators like pod draft, like you, Matt P, me, maybe Pat from Discord, Matt.
Try to get Tom. Tom's the crown jewel there.
You tell me. That's your connection. So you can.
We'll see. I'm not gonna make any promises on his behalf.
Okay.
Let me see if I can't get him out of his dungeon.
Colby, reach out to him. Let him know that we're trying to get this for maybe a future set. Maybe not this year. Maybe next year. We're gonna get this podcast. We're gonna get a draft going on. We're gonna live draft it. We're gonna get us quote unquote creators and see who's the guy, who's the man that we should be listening to.
Who can manipulate their formula?
Yeah, should be probably not drunk Bob. Probably not my calculations. Maybe it's Peter's. Maybe it's Colby's. Maybe it's Matt. Maybe it's Tom.
Bob,
I'm gonna put my money on Tom here.
Finishes above 500 once.
My what?
You're due to have a winning team.
Yeah,
I've seen you in like 6 leagues, and your teams have all been trash.
I feel like I'm like right there. I feel like I'm like literally playoff bound, or like I make it and then I lose. And then I just lose to whatever team Peter's running.
But yeah, and
I have a good and Matt, your new season. I have a bye, I think, don't I?
Yeah, you did. You're in the second round that's going on right now.
That's right.
How's that feel good juice treating you?
So I've drinking a lot of bourbon, and that's how I do my podcast.
It's why he feels good. But so like with Colby, you use so much like artistic abilities. Like, I want to give this guy this, and I think that's so much better than here's this verse. Like how we said, nobody has a 3-control pitcher all the time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think it's more fun to go, oh well, he should do this because he's gonna face more 5s and 6s anyways.
Yeah, that's how Barry Bonds actually performs the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, it didn't matter if Pedro was out there. Like our friend Not Guy Eddie says, unless it was Bob File, like everybody else, Bonds was hitting it over the wall.
This is why Colby needs to get back on Twitter, because Jeff Fry and Bob File are tearing it up on Twitter right now. It's pretty funny.
Oh gosh, Jeff Fry getting trending. He's trying to figure out why he's...
Jeff Fry, again, shout out to Jeff Fry. I'll tag you in this if I remember, if I'm not too drunk. Jeff Fry is killing it on Twitter right now because
It's hilarious.
He's got the hashtag She Gone movement, which is like anti these hitting gurus that
Launch
use like
angle.
PVC pipes and launch angles, and he's all about just actually hitting the damn ball. And if you guys look at Jeff Fry's showing cards against
Being a
what we
cheap
talked
nine.
about, he's a beast. He's the guy you want, but you're not getting home run power, but you got an on base guy, which
He's
is
he has no
hitting before
launch angle.
Bonds.
yeah, he's a good player. So
He's
and
hitting
I
before
even made
Bonds.
the 96 version. I mean, he's a stud too. So, again, we should again Jeff Fry's boss and Bob Files' boss and not Gaetti. He's not really Gaetti, but he pretends to be the. Not
Oh, it's so
version.
funny. I love
Yeah,
it.
he's a really funny version. And so again, Colby, get back on Twitter. That's what we're talking about. So the 2003.
All right, back on Twitter.
Yeah, get back on Twitter. It's fun. So 2003 Barry Bonds, what we're looking at right now. Let's go to the 2003 Barry Bonds badass picture that Peter has here. Again, not cropped out, so not the colorful, fun version that Colby had, which I love the colorful versions. And this version is a little more just. He looks intimidating. He's got to still dip in his pocket, but he's a beast.
He's about to get intentionally walked.
Yeah, he's
Like,
about to
the
intentionally
back of the
fucking
picture
walk.
is
The catcher's
Michael
standing up over there.
So what do you guys
I feel
have
like
here? So,
there needs to be like promo like Monstar versions of Bonds.
So
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
see
yeah.
here. You got one less out, and you got the double instead of him. So you got that's where the 40 more points comes in.
And
but,
on base.
But any of the one more on base. So what's your thinking, Peter? Here, break
Yeah,
it down.
so and I think Matt on this one did an on base 12 on it 3.
Did I? What year is it?
Let me see real quick.
2003.
So
On
let's
it
see
two.
Matt's breakdown. So
Yeah,
Or
on
is
it
that
three.
2 outs?
2003,
out through two.
3. He has a
3 outs. So I
Two
was
outs.
torn between doing exactly what Matt did and doing this. I ended up giving him the boost because his expected on base percentage would have been identical to his 2001 if I'd kept it at the 12. In which case, he would have been the same as a card where in real life his on base percentage was like 0.014 higher. So I bumped him to the 3 and made him gave him 3 outs on his chart for an expected 525 on base percentage, just still lower than his real life on base percentage. He's absolutely ridiculous. 8.18% home run rate, got him 3 home runs on that chart. And then what's shocking, because obviously he had so many walks, he was still hitting well above 300.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had a 341 average. And so
I mean, first of all, his 2001 through 2004 average is stupid for a
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
that's not like a Tony Gwynn type hitter. This is like outrageous.
Well, and that's why, he's still on this card ends up with singling at 10. I don't have as
this
big
year
of
he
a
had
walk rate.
529 on base percentage.
Well, so I had, like I was
250
saying,
batting
it's,
average.
yeah.
the
For
pitcher he's
4
facing in
years.
mine is a control 3 who gives up 18-19 single and 20 double.
Yep.
So the batting average that he needed off his own chart was a 266 in order to get, like, from all outcomes you'd expect. 26% of the time he's at the
Did
plate,
he get
he's
hurt
gonna
this year?
single
Because
off
he
his
didn't
own
play a
chart.
full season.
He must have taken some time off.
So he had
But it
550 plate appearances versus usual 600, 6 something.
Well, he played 130 games.
Okay.
So he
Yeah.
missed some time.
Either
but
Is that when he
his,
was taking Sundays off?
Must
is that
Real religious fella.
Is that a steroid day?
Must be.
So I wish this picture was on Colby's 2003 version, because
Ooh.
even though I like Matt P's version because it looks sick, this version is super intimidating. If I cut that shit out and put that in an orange background, that thing would be sick as fuck.
You can do it. I think he'd look really good in like the 01 style too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
kinda
Like,
like
because he's
torso
half
up.
cut off of the feet.
See his
Yeah.
last name.
Really nice, really solid picture. Especially, again, Topps owns the right to the word Giants and all this stuff. But was it Bauman or Donruss? Who's the one, Matt, that has the separate contract? I think
Bowman is a part of Topps,
So
so it must be
Donruss.
Donruss.
So
Yeah.
Donruss has this contract where they can produce cards, but they can't put the giant symbol on there. This would be the picture for that, because you
Yeah.
got his jersey, and you could just cut this fucking person out and say, this is the card. I'm not part of the issue with MLBPA. So great card here. So let's break the game even fucking more. Let's
Oh
go-
well, I think we should do 20 man like promo teams, and there should be a home run hitting team that has the Monstar like cartoon
yeah.
version arts.
Yeah. Should we get?
Doc Ellis?
Can someone? Is someone artistically driven enough to make a Monstar version of Bonds?
If it's all right angles, I'm
Yeah.
on it.
So again, we thought the game could be broken with a 582 on base in 2002, and they're like, no, let's make it even worse with a 609 in 2004. So this is Colby's version of the Barry Bonds. Again, if you guys haven't paid attention, actually, if you haven't been paying attention, and you fast forward it, Bonds' face has gotten a little fatter. The PDs have set in a little bit. Got a 900 point C speed.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. The C speed 8, 13 on base. Colby, break it down for us.
I finally caved. I figured 600 on base was good enough for a 13. If I was ever going to give it out, a 600 on base, which is clown shoes crazy. And then 19 to 20 homer. The only place you can bat him is you have to lead him off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
what do you do with that kind of card?
You lead him off, you get 2 power hitters, put them behind him, and then you got to just go cheap 7 speed A's, and then you got to pitch, right? Because you're only going to score a couple runs. That's the best I could think of.
I mean, again, it's a stellar card. And that's, I guess, what do you think about the idea of when you increase the on base and decrease the home runs? So he's gonna get the advantage more, right? Yes,
Yeah.
we got that. But is he gonna hit the same? Is he gonna hit the home run range? Like he got 45 that season. So like, where's the drawback? Like, are we in the right ballpark here?
Yeah, so I mean that's basically in the way at least I understood with the card making, how I sort of did it and how I saw it in Colby's early ones, is if you gained it on base at the same tier, then you'd lose so it'd be a 13, 19, 20 is the same as on base
Absolutely.
12 homer at 18, 11 homer at 17 and stuff like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it fits perfectly.
No, I agree. Colby, do you think? And this is my I want to say, my thought, but every time I drafted the 11 Trout, because always an 11 because he's a stud.
Yeah.
It just sucks because he doesn't have the home run range. When you look at this, you go, 19 to 20, he hit 40 some home runs, but he got the 13 on base. Do you sometimes want to reduce on base to boost the home runs? How do you feel?
I would want to, but like he has cards like that. This is a
Yeah.
mechanically unique card, right? Like this is
Yeah.
the only one that's a 13. The same way
And I think the only one that deserves a 13.
Oh yeah, like if
Yeah.
whatever in your opinion the highest number should be, I think this should be that.
Yep.
And if anybody ever tops this, the problem is like besides All-Star games, I still can't think of a way to like, because it's like you make an exciting card and it just can't be used, or like it feels like a trap and it feels like a feel bad. We've described a bunch of people building teams where they spend all this points and then they're pitching Brian Bohannon and getting killed.
I love Brian Bohannon. You watch your tongue.
Keep
Hey,
Brian Bohannon's name out of my mouth.
Yeah,
you're
I love my
using
10-point
Bonds.
Rocky starters, Derek Kyle and Brian Bohannon.
If you
Rip,
use
rip.
Bonds, your next 4 picks need to be pitchers.
Well, if you're drafting this a 900-point version of Bonds, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. In the 5,000-point league.
Okay,
If
that,
you
actually,
take-
that's a really good question. So, okay, Colby, we have you
Yep.
new on the podcast. You drafted Barry Bonds, pick 1. You drafted this version, 2004. That's your first pick, Colby.
Yes.
Okay, what's your next pick? You just took 5,000-point 18-man league, 18 team league, player league.
So I'm gonna go with the 8 Sosa. I'm gonna go with the low on
Really?
base
So
high.
you're gonna right back to batting.
Oh yeah. Why? I'm not gonna get any. I'm not gonna get any expensive pitchers, right? And I guess that's the other option, right? Is you go 4 stud pitchers and Bonds is your offense.
Well, I
Is
will
that-
tell you right now that my league, I play 12 people in person, Colby. So this
in person.
that's why I actually absolutely loved the idea of you playing in college. I think more people need to do this. If you guys are in a college right now, print our set off. Go to the blogspot.com, print the fucking set off, play with your buddies in your dorm because you'll make great friends. You'll have some drinks. And I
So
got
much
drinking
fun.
rules. We got drinking rules. I'm drinking right now. Got more drinking rules later. But you guys can play the set, okay?
Yeah.
But drafting is the key. Drafting the players is the key. So, okay, when you draft the players, when you spend 900 points on a person, what's the next pick? In a 10% draft, let's say 10%, Colby, you grabbed him in the middle of the draft. Bonds, you spent 900 points on this guy. You really grabbing Sosa next pick?
I am. I think I'm just.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna lose. I think this is a bad card.
Okay. No. I actually I actually like the honest opinion because people are thinking this. They go, okay, Bonds broke the game, but 900 points is fucking 900 points.
Well, your whole lineup.
Salary.
I just keep. Well, and speed. It's not even 900 points because I think I could construct a 900 point card that would be good, but like there's no runs in this. It's solo homers and him.
Peter, what are you thinking? Peter, what are you thinking?
Well, I just really like that Matt and I used the same cutout. So like this 2004 Bonds is the same as my first 2001 Bonds.
Different Bonds?
No, like they're the exact same image.
Which one?
The original 2001 that I did.
Oh,
that's funny.
Way back. Oh, that is right. Again, Colby.
This one looks much better than mine, but it's definitely like the exact same image. I don't know if we cut out the same one or we found the same like ping file.
Yeah, I hope he was like
really
2002 and he fucked you both.
Yeah.
You're the only one who cares about what year it is. I told you guys.
I do.
Yeah.
I am a huge. Well, I like to watch Bonds' face grow with the steroids. I like to say that. So I made a 96 set. Pedro Martinez on the Expos, he looks like a baby. This is a baby.
Again, I use the TMZ photos.
Yeah. I want TMZ photos. I think Colby should talk to our buddy Boschwack on the Discord because that dude is all about the what a guy committed crime wise in that year. He's all about it. So again, I just want to know what your thoughts were, Colby, on if you drafted, because people listen to us go, okay, Bonds is great, but if I'm drafting a set of my buddies, would I draft Bonds? And Colby's take, if I'm not mistaken, Colby, correct me, you wouldn't draft this Bonds for 900 points?
So I would maybe draft the 12, and I still think that's a issue. I think the best card for a league after the original 2000, the actual 2000, is maybe his 2005 card. Believe it or not.
You talking about the one they made for the we don't.
No, the one I made,
version?
the 7 Speed C 17-20 homer for 130 points. I think that's the best card for a league.
Really?
With salary cap. I think that's interesting. I think
it's
the problem.
What year is that?
2005.
Because he was hurt all year.
Oh, okay. So I pulled up, guys. Everyone's watching the 2005 version. Colby has a 7 on base, 130 point C speed 10, but it is 17 on base. Big chart, a lot of walks, but low outs. That's a pretty interesting card, Colby. Talk about it.
Well, walks are outs, especially because he can bat 6.
Okay,
he's the best 6 hitter in the league, right?
Let me ask this question. We talk about this a lot in the podcast and the breakdowns. What's funny is that baseball teams want walks. They would love walks, but on Showdown, you don't like walks.
Walks are out, especially with the advantage.
So
especially if you're slow.
Do you like that he's getting walks? But in Showdown, walks are not good, but in real baseball, walks are amazing.
Well, so especially with a low on a bookend, I like to think of a bookend. Who's my last real batter until I'm punting through? I want my bookend guy to have a ton of damage that I'll pay for, and then I don't want doubles, right? Because nobody's going to.
What you talking 7, 8, 9?
It depends on where you are. Like if you're a 6 or a 7, I mean, I'd love him as a 7, right? As a 7 hitter. I mean, 8, 9. I mean, depend. I like National League rules. I think it helps the low control pitchers. First of all,
we just talked about this in a separate podcast. we're trying to get together a National League only draft where we play the pitcher bat, and you gotta have a lot of pinch hitters.
Yeah, I like it, and I think that's interesting. But yeah, I think too many points just eats up your lineup.
Yeah.
Too much, and if you're going to spend a lot of points, it needs to make sense. And I don't think Bonds as a player made sense for his counting stats. And I think that bore out.
Matt, do you even have a
I like this
2000?
1989 card you made.
What was that?
360 points on base 8, where he's single plus at 11, double at.
Oh, yeah, that's a
His
sexy
second-
card. That's a sexy
Those,
card.
that's my bread and butter. I basically
That's
have
a
one
sexy
lead
card.
on extra base hit on base 8 with speed guys.
Well, because
Like,
he's
you
going to
could
get runs
Colby,
and
get a picture. We need a picture of this card.
yeah. Somebody get some art for me here. I'm just the math guy. Yeah, because you either score runs or drive them in, and that guy can do both for
And our
360.
cards are so similar. That's what's so funny.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm actually looking at Matt's chart. Do you have a 2005 version, Matt?
No, I didn't because
Okay.
he only had like 200 plate appearances. I was like, yeah.
and that's
he
actually I
barely
like
played.
about what Colby was talking about is like, okay, everybody's used to the fucking ridiculous bonds, but what about the maybe not so ridiculous bonds? Can you fit me a roster, because it's all about roster creation. Okay, I'll put this amazing image that Matt sent me about bonds and steroids, but this, again, no one else could see this, but he looks like a fucking stud, big ass motherfucking boy. He's juicing it up, he's tearing it up, he's a big ass boy. What do? I mean, he's a big chart. 2005 is a hurt year and it sucks, but everything we do, again, what we do here is drafting wise. So it's not constructed. It's all about how you draft in the season, and Bonds and enough of play appearances. It's actually a really interesting card, and interesting is what we want to talk about, because cards get replicated, stats get replicated, but when you get the interesting statistics, that's what 2005 is. So again, that's what Colby's been presenting us. Is it 2004 talk about the 900-point card? Let's move on forward though, and look at Peter's 2004 card. Good.
Yeah,
image.
I got the picture is a little blurry, but it's on
Blurry?
his 700th home run.
Yeah.
So I wanted to capture that big moment.
Yeah. You have to have it. You have to have it.
The 609 on base, like, broke me.
Oh yeah.
So like I
What
went
do
up.
you do?
even
What do you do
further.
then? What do you guys do?
So basically I was just like, I'm gonna figure out at what point, like, if you had no outs on the on base 13, his expected on base percentage is 600,
Yeah.
which is still too low.
Well, how ridiculous is that? I mean, like, so we were just talking about the 2004 version that Colby gave us as a 13, but is that even enough? Because then, is a 14 too little? Again, it's just Barry Bonds, break the game, but is that enough?
So this one, the expected on base percentage that I have on it is 613, which was at least within 0.04 of his real life on base percentage. It's just ridiculous. He was so good. His home run rate was 7%, which actually was exactly what was expected with this card for 2 home runs on the on base 14. So that worked out really conveniently. I think I gave him a double because his real life double rate was 4.3%, and to give him one double got him an expected rate of 5%. So I rounded that up. And then he needed 294 as his average off of his own chart, which worked out to being just about 50% charts hit wise, which was extremely convenient because then I could just make it 11 to 17 as the single for that expected average. And then there you go, 609 on base percentage and an expected average. I think his expected average is like 360 on the dot. So
yeah, yours gets a lot more things. So yours actually would score more runs than mine would.
Yeah. And so like now he's more, and that's one of the things I wanted to really work at, because I know Matt and I normally when we're making them, we sort of focus on filling in walks first, and then we fill in the singles as the remainder usually. But as
so
I
I
was thinking about
ratio it.
Yeah, and I mean that it's just like when you ratio it, and so like I just focused on what the single ratio was and what he needed to get his average to be his real life average, because his expected on base percentage is just what he's on at versus what he should be on at against pitchers.
Mhm.
And so, I reverse engineered the singles, and so now that he's got more singles on it, it becomes much more playable, which I thought was important, especially if you're going to spend 970 points on a card. You need him to single, otherwise it's never going to get any use. So I think that's for sort of the.
I mean, if you're creating the game, okay, we're gonna make it 450 on base 11. Oh my God, he broke the game! Like Delgado and Jambi, they broke the game. And then a couple years later, think about a guy getting 609. It's not even fathomable. Like it's
We're not gonna see it again.
No, exactly. So, and that's why I think it's okay to break the game for a card and just boost up his fucking points a little bit. And again, I don't want to I guess spill the beans a little bit, but there is an opportunity for us all, Matt, Peter, and Colby and Bob, all working together for future sets going forward. There's some talk going forward that all of this great work that we've all done for years and years and years could accumulate for the future of Showdown in general. And that's what we want to do, is to make all cards available for everybody. Amazing and great, and that you all play this together, and we want to be the guys that can help you guys do that. So I'm really happy that Colby could be in this podcast. We get Bonds, the breakdown that broke the game in general for all of us, so it's interesting. So again, Colby, could you ever think about a on base 14? Is that even possible for you?
I don't think I would, but I think Peter hit it on in the right direction, where maybe he should have had more singles if I had factored the intentional walks out. His singles would have been higher.
But how on base would you have made him for the 2004 season, the really ridiculous season, 609?
I'm still fine with the 13. I think a 14 just starts to get, even if it's statistically correct, I think it just gets so far out there.
How crazy could a 13 be?
13's good. 13's fine.
I mean, anything past an 11 in my mind, it was ridiculous. I actually like the idea of the 10 being the cream of the crop, and they fucked it up, because once you establish a 10, and when people broke the game, you couldn't break it, and that's they dabbled with the Delgado and Jambi, but Bonds just tear it up, and I actually think they should just roll with it, because I think they would have had a really good game if they kept it going. And actually, we talked about this in the last podcast, got rid of strategy cards and made it more of a managerial decision. Like, give the managers options. I've done, and we'll talk about this offline, Colby. I've done some statistical stuff that ground ball outs and advancing runners does some fun stuff for how you deal with advancing runners. But in general, you could just broke Barry Bonds, let it break, and it would have been fine, because let alone, here comes 2019, 2020, no one's killing it like fucking Barry Bonds was.
I think the 13 kills it. I think all of ours, I think they're all just monster cards. I don't know if you really could do it wrong.
Yeah, I think, but like you and Peter, again, me and Matt, we're the art guys. We like to do art. We do statistics. Me and Matt, and I know Matt will say this too, we love our stats. We like our stats. So's Peter, so you, Colby. But me and Matt are art guys. We like the visual representation of a card just as much as the statistics that represent it. But Peter and Colby love the stats. They want to make sure their cards are represented correctly, and they want to make sure they're presented to everyone right. And they don't want to. Colby talked about it. I wish I would have took that back a little bit, but they want it right. You want your cards done correctly, and going forward, you wish if 2001 would have just kept it going, this would have kept going just fine. It would have been a great CCG game.
It's interesting whenever you think of a mistake, right? Because I think of that Jose Reyes as being the worst design card.
Peter loved it. Peter loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was my worst design card. Like, it's the one that I look at and I go like, Colby, do you think that Jose Reyes hit 55 triples?
Well,
Yes.
that's what I love about it. Is
Yeah.
it's just like the only way you're gonna hit triples ever is off these charts, and it brings triples into the game, especially because
Yeah, it
the way
does.
to argue it to people is no one ever plays 162 games with their showdown team.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like maybe 30-game season with your friends, and that's why
I think if they would have said, okay, we're 2001 sets. Holy shit, the Bonds broke the game. I'm gonna pay Colby and Peter to help us with the sets. The game would have continued on amazingly because you could.
I think if they sold box sets of 600 cards, I think the booster pack is what killed it. Hot take.
Well, I actually don't think the booster pack was what killed it because that's a Magic the Gathering MTG CG thing to go. But the idea that they literally transfer the games to 2 different scenarios because Magic the Gathering, which on Wizards of the Coast, everything can play within each other. But you cannot play two cards with 2001 cards at all. You can't do it. So
Let's do that on a different podcast. Let's do what we would have done strategy-wise.
Well, let's get. I think you guys will all agree we can get Colby back on for another podcast to do that. But we got this one going right now, and I think they would have. I think they could have benefited from someone like Colby, someone like Peter to keep it going forward, and it would have been fine. And I think I would have loved it. And the trading card game would have been good, and the collector card game would have been good. That's just me. That's just me.
I'd be interested. Be interested to hear what pressures were coming from Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast.
So that's me and a couple of our team members can ask those questions to those Wizards of the Coast guys. So it's coming forward.
Well, because in Magic they've gone into these real premium like drop products where you get 1 day to buy it, and I think they could do some super cool. They could have done some super cool like drops now with that technology.
Yeah.
Right. If you had like home run record breakers, with
Topps does it now. Topps is a digital platform where they release content, and they could have done that where you can the Topps 2020 set. Again, this is June 7th, 2020. Topps 2020 project is going really nice, where they have lots of Mark Wire stuff and Simon Koufax, Mike Trout stuff. They have a lot of stuff where they could have said, okay, we're releasing Barry Bonds content. This Barry Bonds home run showdown card's about to be released, and he broke the record back in this year. Dropping it right now. You could get it right now for X amount of dollars. They could have been killing it. And that's what I'm saying. Bauman, Donruss, Topps, let us know. We got the team ready for you guys. We're ready to bring this team to the next level. We're ready to go for you guys. But I think they hurt themselves with the strategy cards with the 2001, 2002 transition. So
yeah, let's save that for a future podcast and wrap up the one on Bonds here, Bob.
So
I think we're pretty much done with Bonds here. I don't think his last ones are all that interesting unless you guys have anything to add.
No. So if we look at Colby's Colby's charts, he hurts in 2005, goes back up in 2006 to 2007, but it's minute.
He retires as Jason. His last year, he's Jason Giambi.
Yeah.
Just consider that.
His last year, he could still be DHing right now.
I agree.
Is what you're saying.
I remember being furious the Brewers didn't sign him for a super cheap 1-year deal in 2008.
Because the Indians had Jason Giambi in like 2013.
Oh, I loved it when they had him.
Bonds can definitely still be out there. And it's crazy, like just along like the Bob's formula for points. He had 9 seasons of 600 points or more.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
I had 2 700s, 2 900s, and 2 800s.
Yeah, like
yeah, they're crazy.
One of the best.
I would be interested in doing Ruth, and I'd be interested in doing full careers of a few people, and then like another podcast is what showdown wise do you consider to be a Hall of Famer? Put a pin in that and think about it.
Interesting podcast.
I got tons of ideas here, man.
Oh, Colby's ready for the next podcast. But what's
Yeah.
funny is that what's interesting is he broke the bonds himself, and it's like, what would he have done minus the PD allegations? You know what I mean?
Might have gotten 800 home runs.
You think I added that?
It's kind of like Pujols hit like 40 every year. And I think Bonds could have done that without the PEDs.
With steals.
Yeah, with steals, and he may have lasted a little longer because I think he kind of got blackballed towards the end.
Did you watch that documentary on him, Matt? Where he was talking about like he felt like he was.
I didn't.
Okay, so the one they were talking about was like they felt like, or this is not his quote, but people that are close to him said that he felt like he wasn't getting the attention he deserved for hitting like a 40-40 season. And like they were all giving him McGuire and Sosa. So he was like, I'll take steroids and I'm going to be the best ever. So it's like, if only he realized that, fuck those steroids, you could have been the best ever hit 40-40 every season. He was the best ever player ever with no controversy.
Yeah.
Because he's the best. In my opinion, he's the best ever. He's the best ever.
He's been my favorite, so I'm with you.
I have a Bonds Pirates jersey. I have it.
I mean, I think it's just between him and Ruth, right? Like somebody who's like mythical at that point, right?
I think Ruth's only mythical because of the statistics he
era.
put in that season. I think Mantl's better than Ruth, in my opinion.
I like A-Rod.
I think Mantl's the most talented player to ever play.
I think if he didn't get hurt, he was the best ever. But like Bonds, I don't know. He could have been the best ever.
If you look at A-Rod's like career showdown cards, his are very similar to. He put up a lot of 500, 600 point seasons as well.
That'd be an interesting one to look at. Well, because he also switches positions and stuff.
Right.
He was a shortstop of third base. Again, that everyone is the Bonds breakdown. Again, if you guys like that, chat up in the window. I want Colby more. I want more Colby. Let us know. We'll get Colby back on the podcast. We'll hit him up. We'll get it there.
We can't come up with 3 podcast ideas every one podcast. This is never gonna work.
Man, it's just a lot of free time then.
Yeah, if you guys followed Colby in the past and you want Colby in the future, hit us up. Let us know you want Colby here. Other than that, we got a couple of our podcasts. We love Colby. We want the OG Colby to be back in the podcast. This is a specific Bonds breakdown and a bourbon breakdown because Bob drank too much in this podcast.
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I drink the entire podcast of drinking, so don't judge me. Don't judge me. Anything closing words on Bonds?
Hall of Fame.
All time.
Go.
Yeah, why is he not in the Hall of Fame? This is a big debate. Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Check Bob. So, thank you everybody for listening, and stay tuned the next time. Maybe we'll have Colby back again. If you guys have a specific player, like A-Rod or something to break down, let us know. And that is our